And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, and I'm here along with my good friend, filling in for Josh Peterson. He is the man, the myth, the legend behind Rob McCallum Films, the award-winning director of Missing Mom. He also made a little side film called, I think it was Nintendo Quest. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It's a thing. And he's also now a big part of Tiny Titan Studios. It's my good friend, Rob McCallum. How are you?
Good to be back. It's been quite the hiatus, but I clearly have not been doing nothing. My days have been filled up with a lot of new stuff that has been challenging me in new ways, which is always exciting. So I'm sure we'll get into that at some point.
Well, you've certainly been missed right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos and PCC Multiverse. And your presence is felt each and every week with the power of your voice in our advertising and promos that we run on to break. So,
well, I'm glad that my voice hasn't disappeared, even though my co-hosting presence has.
Indeed. Well, it's a great pleasure to have you back on to talk some Comic-Con, and I appreciate you filling in for Josh Peterson, who hopefully will be back next week as well. So if you get a chance, like I said, check us out each and every week on the PCC Multiverse, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. We also have the #1 show for 5 months in a row on the Podcast Radio Network. That is the Pop Culture Cosmos Show, or as Rob doesn't like to hear, the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
There's a reason I've stayed away. You think you just identified it.
And it's 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network. If for some reason you can't catch us there, on the way home or listening on the radio or on the internet, whatever device that you have, you can always download or stream our shows off of iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, the Ace Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, and also our good friends at the ESO, the Tangent Bound, and the Gunna Geek Network. So, and if you do download and stream our shows, you might actually get an episode. In fact, on the back end of this episode, I will actually put on a classic Rob McCallum podcast for you as well. So, you'll have to see what I'll choose. Yes, indeed. But
I got to wait for the torture you're going to bestow upon everybody. Even I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, what this man has cooking in his kitchen.
Well, we played the Gamercast last week, and then we've also had Wine, Women, and Words also in the recent past, and also stuff from the Humanica Media. So always get a great podcast. And in fact, an old episode of the Game Source was actually played on the back end of the previous episode, which had a bit of you in it as well. And your good friend Douglas Hoyabu from Retro City.
There we go. You can't get away. No matter what I'm doing, you can't get away.
I can't get away, indeed. You've been such a big part of the past few years with Game Source and Pop Culture Cosmos, man. And we just, I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate it. So, just like you folks out there, we can't appreciate. We just can't. Yeah, we just truly appreciate everyone out there just listening to our show. It's truly incredible, indeed, that you're here and making us so successful, indeed, and it's all because of you. But
what are we talking about this week, Gerald?
Well, we're going to be talking about, like I said, that's enough kudos for now. So
see how I segued that,
exactly. Very well done. I know you are a staple now of pop culture here in the universe as far as for video games, documentary films, and whatnot. But I know you on a personal level as far as your affinity for many things pop culture. And it goes without saying that this past weekend, as I called it on the Pop Culture Cosmos show, the mecca of pop culture this past weekend at Comic-Con was alive and well indeed. And so I want to hear your thoughts first off before we branch off into a couple other topics. Your thoughts on the show itself, and what were some of the things that really stood out to you in maybe a positive or maybe a negative way?
Well, every year San Diego swells a little bit, and most geeks like myself are tempted to make the pilgrimage to everything that nerddom has to offer and be part of that experience where were you when this trailer was unveiled? Where were you when this person made a surprise appearance, or this new toy line was shown for the first time? And then other people sit back and watch from afar and try to research and get the tidbits as they come in. And this year I was from afar, but my brethren who made Power of Grayskull, the definitive history of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, had their own panel at Comic-Con this year. So they were exclusive guests, and they teased and tortured me with phone calls from the exhibitor floor before it was even open to the public, saying how bored they were walking around trying to figure out something to do before the day started.
Just rubbing it in there, just pouring a little bit of salt on that wound, so to speak.
Yeah, just rubbing it in. I really didn't pay a huge close following to what was going on at Comic-Con this year. My weekend was pretty busy at Tiny Titan, where I'm producing and writing video games these days. We're approaching a Steam launch for one of our most successful mobile titles, so I've been really kind of burning the candle at both ends getting that ready. But I made the kind of conscious effort to keep like today and tomorrow kind of set aside to kind of do some catch up. And I would say it seemed like it was a pretty good year for Comic-Con and fans of everything pop culture. I wouldn't say that there was any clear-cut, amazing kind of reveal or something that just like everybody seems to be talking about, because usually that piece of info like permeates all aspects of the media. So like you find yourself on CNN or Fox News and they're talking about it. This wasn't really the case this year. I think we stayed within the sphere of announcements and trailers and reveals, but we got a really good kind of silver medal performance from San Diego Comic-Con. What did you think in terms of what we saw and what was shown and what we heard this year?
Well, when I spoke to Josh about it on the Pop Culture Cosmos show, he was really thinking that Marvel stood out as far as what they had to offer from a line, as far as from comic books to television shows to what's obviously coming up in the movies, even with what they announced at the previous week, at D23. I kind of like also as well that actually DC Films, their slate of films is still kind of up tentatively in the air, with a lot of stuff coming out before 2020, but they've got a lot of stuff coming out, which is good news for fans of their products. From Aquaman.
The way you phrase that is hilarious.
Well, the only way, okay, the way of their character.
12 people that like it, they're getting more of it.
Yes, well, their slate is just huge with Aquaman, Flashpoint, obviously Wonder Woman 2 coming out, Justice League 2. Those were all announced. The Batman, after some tenuous moments where people were thinking that Ben Affleck was hitting the high road as far as Batman is concerned, he definitively said that, hey, he is a part of Batman as long as Warner Brother wants him to be. So it looks like for the foreseeable future that he's going to be involved with that. And the Batman, he's excited that Matt Reeves from the Planet of the Apes movies is going to be helming that feature coming up. So those are some good signs. It was still kind of weird how they have some dates set. Warner Brothers has some dates set, but they don't really have those movies locked in place for the near future as far as Cyborg and things of that nature. Those secondary Justice League movies, like Aquaman, Flashpoint, and whatnot, they've got them tenuously there, but they're kind of like got an eraser. So if Justice League and Justice League 2 doesn't really pan out very well, that maybe they won't include them. But if all goes well, that there's going to be a ton of DC movies going forward. Shazam as well. Let's not forget about Shazam as well. So,
Rock, right?
Yeah, DC was just, I think they represented themselves well as a sign of the future. It's a good sign for DC fans. But what I also wanted to say was that there was so much beyond just DC and Marvel. There was just so much beyond it with the Kingsman, with even with small stuff like the Orville that's coming to Fox, Star Trek Discovery.
I was going to say, I think the big winners are people that like to watch serialized content between Stranger Things and
exactly
supernatural stuff and
Ready Player One as well.
That's a big feature that dropped, and we got to see that trailer over the weekend. I'm not sure how I feel about the trailer, the look of it. Pictured it a bit differently when I went through the book myself, but I'll definitely be in the theater to check it out. We're talking about DC and Marvel, but there's one Caped Crusader that you haven't mentioned yet that got my attention. No, not Spawn, although that did get a little bit of ripples when McFarlane announced the rated R version of Spawn coming back. I'm talking about the terror that flaps in the night. He is the smoke that won't clear from the room. He is Darkwing Duck
I knew
being
you were going to say that.
announced as part of the new Disney XD DuckTales series that debuts, I believe, August 23rd or August 12th, or somewhere in August.
Yes.
DuckTales, the revamped version, premieres on Disney XD, and Darkwing Duck will make an appearance in the series at some point. Now, this is big for a lot of reasons. One is because I'm a kind of a super fan of Darkwing and DuckTales, so this is like a dream come true. But also, notably, despite having Launchpad and Gizmo Duck in both of the original cartoons, they take place in separate universes. So everybody that can follow like superhero logic with alternate realities and parallel worlds, Darkwing and DuckTales take place in alternate realities. So this marks the first time that they're in the same place at the same time. So I think it's a backdoor pilot for maybe getting Darkwing rebooted on Disney XD. I don't know why they wouldn't, if they're going to go the Scottish Indiana Jones style with Scrooge McDuck, voiced by David Tennant. Why not bring back Darkwing for his whole Batman superhero parody series that could be fun with some slapstick and St. Canard?
I know you'll be tuned right into it. You'll be right in front of the television watching every episode. I know that's something definitely as like my time that we've spent together, I know that you're a big fan of it. I know you definitely would be looking forward to that indeed. I also know that Josh Peterson was also excited for Hey Arnold and Rocko's Modern Life returning back to the small screen as well, as far as those 90s shows seem to be coming alive once again. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the old adage in Hollywood, man. You know, if we can't think of something new, let's just reboot something. You know,
let's just take something that worked before and give it new life.
Exactly. Until we, you know, wring the towel dry on it, so to speak. So definitely some things to look forward to when it comes to what was announced at Comic-Con. I know Stranger Things, people are just so excited about that, and that came off so well. I believe at Comic-Con, that trailer just really just.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it or Justice League's second trailer yet. Again, today and tomorrow were supposed to be my big catch-up days. Haven't got there yet. I know people said, "Oh, well, the Justice League trailers now it's looking good. Now they're learning something from what Wonder Woman did." I don't know.
Well, Josh had said it. You know, it's the old case of I think they're showing too much with him. You know, that's what he thought. I think with Justice League. I think they need to show as much as they can because the unfamiliarity people have with Cyborg and Aquaman, as far as they don't really have that affiliation yet on screen like they do with Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, of course, and you know, they need to become more familiar with those characters. And I like the point of view from Flash, where, well, I'll let you leave be, and we'll save that for another conversation for another day. I like the way they utilize Flash from what I've seen in the film so far. So it looks like it's going to be shaping up pretty good indeed. And as we head towards November when it releases, definitely excited for that as well. If you have thoughts, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, okay. I mean, you've kind of got me a little excited now to check out Justice League. You've reignited some hope in there. Didn't think there was much hope after Batman v Superman. I still haven't seen Wonder Woman, though. I'm kind of cautious. I'm a little, you know, spandex, you know, burnt out on the whole superheroes and capes. So,
well, there are some superhero fatigue. I can clearly understand that with the audience out there, but obviously the movie industry is betting against it. So because they're just lining up everything from Deadpool 2 to, you know, just so many different things. X-Men coming back again in the near future as well. So
Dark Phoenix,
yeah. So it's just, my gosh, I think there is some superhero fatigue, but at the point where it's not at the point where it's going to be something that's going to stop them at least from at least releasing it. I think until the end of the decade, there's still going to be a regular release schedule of these movies. So for those who are kind of sick and tired already of superhero movies, you're just going to have to grin and bear it for just a little while longer. Well, if you out there have any thoughts on Comic-Con itself or any of the superhero movies coming up, we're actually going to talk about a couple more after the break. But if you have any thoughts on the latest barrage of Comic-Con movies and trailers that came out, Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, or popculturecosmos, Game Source, and also Humanican Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. It's going to be a great show here today. Also, in the fact, you got a great announcement as well from Rob coming up as far as some Steam keys that he might be.
We got a giveaway, maybe, huh?
Yes, for the great game Tiny Rails, indeed. So we're definitely looking forward to that. Indeed, he's going to be announcing a couple on the air, and it's first come, first serve for those. Plus, also our friends at the TV Ratings Guide, they're going to be stopping by near the end of the show for a few minutes just to talk even more about television programming, because those guys and gals out there, they love talking some great TV indeed. But first off, we're going to be talking a little bit more about James Bond in the show, and also as well some Captain Marvel and Black Panther. That's coming up. But right now, this is a song from Hyperschmidt, and this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today.
You're doing this on purpose.
I am indeed.
You haven't done that for weeks, and I feel like you're bringing it back because I'm
just for you, my friend. I am here along with my good friend. He is the world-renowned director of Missing Mom, Nintendo Quest, and so many others. He is a producer from Tiny Titan Studios. It's Rob McCallum. And before we continue, Rob, with our discussion of even more superhero Cape Crusader type movies, tell me what's going on with your new role as a producer with Tiny Titan Studios and all the great stuff coming down from that great game studio.
Well, I don't know how much I can share because we've got a lot of top secret projects. NPD
this, NPD that, NPD this.
NDAs, NPDs, all this stuff. We've got a lot of cool stuff brewing.
NDAs. I'm sorry, NPDs. I was thinking sales groups and whatnot. Yes, NDA this, NDA that. Indeed.
Yeah. So as Gerald mentioned, I'm a filmmaker kind of first and foremost, and still making films. I'm in post-production on the Kitty documentary, which we just signed distribution papers for, which is great, and we'll be announcing our premiere soon. I'm also in post on Power of Grayskull, the definitive history of He-Man and the Masters Universe, and of course box art, the story behind the covers of video games that we love and want to get to know the artists who are responsible for them and what the stories are behind those great images and how that came to be and how the evolution of box art has changed over time. So very much still a filmmaker, but I have recently moved back to my homeland of Canada. Gerald and I met while I was living in Las Vegas, and now I'm back in London, Ontario, the Forest City of Canada. And I get to work alongside a couple of journeymen that I've known for a while, Glenn Stanway, who was part of the Nintendo Quest crew, and my good friend Jeff Evans, who was part of the Power Tour. He was in Austin with us. He came down for the trek to help sling some discs at the table and showcase the movie and just be a part of the experience. So Jeff is the owner of Tiny Titan Studios, and for the most part, they do free-to-play, casual, and yet exciting retro aesthetic mobile games. So Dash Quest is a massively popular Zelda Link to the Past kind of endless runner action RPG that we have a massive daily average user in the thousands. So when we go through the support emails for that, it's really interesting to see how many people are playing and just reaching out to say hi. And that's probably still considered our flagship title. So if you like endless runners with RPG elements and Legend of Zelda, check out Dash Quest on iOS or Google Play. And then in December last year, on the same day that Mario Run launched, Tiny Titan Studios launched Tiny Rails, which is a casual train simulator done in the pixel retro aesthetic. And there's nothing more charming than watching this little pixelized train just kind of choose to ride the rails all around the world at this point. And
choo-choo.
Yeah, exactly. So in Tiny Rails, you basically take over your grandfather's train company and help him kind of with one last hurrah as you ride the rails and build up your rail kind of tycoon empire. And you've got to, combat with other rail companies that don't like you going from upstart to empire. And you basically try to race against the clock in some cases. You load cargo and ship it from city to city. You can upgrade your trains that you have. You can get crazy, wacky trains. We just had a nice Miyazaki homage with the kitty cat bus engine and caboose. We have a pizza car, a taco car, and we have lots of real life inspired engines as well. So if you're a train fanatic, if you like collecting, you'll like this game. If you like just kind of like the journey and the road trips, you'll love this. We got pixelized weather and snow and rain and dust storms and day and night cycles. And when you put your phone away, the game keeps playing. So you can, set your waypoints, set up everything you want to do with your train and go off and do what you got to do for the day and pick up your phone later, and you'll be at the station ready to kind of pick up where you resume.
And you've interacted with so many fans so far, as far as on your Twitch streams, I believe, as far as connecting with them and getting their ideas for cars in the future to be coming to the game as well, correct?
Yeah, very much so. We're very hands-on with our community. One of the reasons I was brought in was to kind of take over PR, marketing, and community outreach in addition to writing and production skills. So it's been great to really ignite the fan base and hear what they have to say and what they want to contribute to the game and where they want to see it go. So when Tiny Titan announced that it was successfully greenlit through Steam's Greenlight program in January, which has now since been abandoned in terms of in the way how things can get on Steam, but we were greenlit in January. And so when time came to put the game on Steam, we really listened to fans and asked them what they want, because you can't just have a casual game for a play session when somebody wants to sit down in front of a box and start playing. It's no longer a passive thing. So we added a ton of stuff, and now you got to clean your train, you got to repair your train, your train cars level up the further that they go, and there's coin collection that you got to keep an eye on. So there's a lot of plates spinning now, and it's much more a simulation game than a casual sim, I would say. And you just really got to keep your eye on what's going on with your train, and your loadouts are going to matter a little bit more too, and where you go and what you want to do with them. So
sounds very intriguing indeed. And I've obviously seen quite a bit as far as not only the mobile version, but definitely looking forward to getting my hands on as far as the Steam version as well. But I think you mentioned that you're going to give some people a chance out there, at least a couple people out there, a chance to get behind the wheel and lay down some tracks. And
I love that. We've got 2 keys to give away on the show. The game is still a beta build. It goes live on Steam on Tuesday, August 8th. So that'll be like the final kind of retail version, and we'll update with major updates down the road. Like, so when mobile updates, like a big section, we'll bring that content over to Steam. August 8th is the day for everybody out there. We don't know the price point quite yet, but we do have 2 keys to give away on today's episode. You'll be able to redeem these keys right away. It's first come, first serve. So whenever you hear this, I'm hoping you've got your pen. I'm hoping you've got your paper, and that you take down these numbers and letters. And hey, if you hear these, you should try them anyways, because you never know. Somebody might not have wrote the numbers down correctly, or somebody may not have hit redeem. Who knows? I don't know, but I've got 2 keys to give away for Tiny Rails on Steam. This is the beta version if you access it like ASAP. It'll be the retail version if you wait till August 8th. So here we go. We're going to announce the first key. What do you think, Gerald? Should we do it or should we hold off?
Let's start with the first key. How about that?
Yeah, there's going to be 2 keys. Don't worry. We'll do one now, and we'll do one later.
There you go. And well, before you go ahead, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Pop Culture Cosmos to both yourself and Tiny Titan Studios for allowing us the opportunity to ingratiate our fans with and listeners out there with a chance to give something back to them. So we truly appreciate it.
Of course. I mean, that's what connections and friends do, right? That's the whole point, right? This is what makes it fun. And we're sending you a press kit too, so you get a full-on chance to check it out. Full experience. You get a retro-styled SNES box with a instruction manual inside of it too, with some stickers and some more Steam keys that you get to decide what you want to do with.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it. But I just appreciate it. Wait, you know what? We've lived in Las Vegas, both of us, so we know how this town works. It's like, oh, I know this guy. I know this guy. I know this guy. So
yeah,
I just tell you right now, it's just truly an honor. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the best again from Pop Culture Cosmos. Not only continued success with the mobile versions, but also this upcoming Steam greenlit access game as well, as far as with Tiny Rails, which, like you said, August 8th it'll be coming to Steam. Is correct?
August 8th.
8/8. What a number.
I know.
Go ahead. Yeah.
8817. See what we did there?
Yes. Indeed.
There we go.
So,
all right, here's the first key. Okay.
I'll put a drum roll. I'll add a drum roll and post for you on that.
I don't know if that came through. It doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. The first key. N as in Nintendo. 7, the number 7. G as in Game Source. D, Q as in Dash Quest. N7GDQ is the first set of numbers. The second set of numbers, 7, F as in Final Fight, T as in Tekken, X as in Xenoblade, K as in, I don't know, something that begins with K. Kerbal Space Program. There we go. 7FTXK. The third set of numbers and symbols and letters. 6, the number 6. M as in McCallum. Q as in Quest. W as in Will Wheaton. Q as in Quest. All right, so I'm going to read the whole thing back. N7GDQ, 7FTXK, 6MQWQ. Once again, N7GDQ, 7FTXK, 6MQWQ.
And that will get you into playing some Tiny Rails, the Steam version that's coming very soon on August the 8th to Steam. Just awesome indeed. And if you didn't get a chance to type it in, or it didn't come up and looks like somebody's already taken it, that's okay. We've got one more code to give away at the end, the final segment of the show. So definitely looking forward to that indeed. So we truly appreciate it.
Hey. Here's the thing. Even if you miss out on both codes, it's free to play on mobile. Free to play. There isn't a massive paywall. Like, seriously, you can experience this game with quite the healthy appetite on iOS or Google Play.
Oh, that's great indeed. Definitely is a game worth playing. And if you want to check out their Twitch feed as well with Tiny Titan Studios, please do so, because then you can also ask questions about the game, and you also get to talk to him, Rob, but also as well his cohort in crime, Glenn Stanway. That's what I was going to ask you as well. Is that how's the your longtime co-host on the GamerCast, you working together? Has there been any type of friction since you've come on board?
It's hilarious. The friction comes from last for about 10 days now. We've had our desks. Okay, imagine the room is a rectangle, and on each of the walls are like coders and artists with their back to the center. Jeff is at the far end with his back to the center of the room, and then in the middle is Glenn and I, and our desks face each other. But in the middle of the desks are our monitors and all our toys that are all stacked up. Now, my chair is on a bit of a slant because of the way that the hardwood floors go. So in order for me to stop my chair from rolling away, I have to tuck it underneath the desk a bit. And usually when I do that, Glenn's toys fall off his desk. So he kind of gives me the brows just over his monitor of irritation, and I kind of say, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. He understands. So that's about as rough as it gets around the edges of Stanbuck.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's still great for you two to be together now, working hard indeed for Tiny Titan Studios, and we wish you all the best with that in upcoming games and upcoming endeavors there. And we know that they are blessed to have you, because you've just truly been an inspiration to fans out there from all around the world that just really liked your work indeed. When we come back, we're going to be talking again about some Cape Crusaders that really I didn't get a chance to talk about on the Monday show that I want to delve into. And then also a little bit later in the show, the TV ratings guide will stop by. And we'll ask also the question, Rob and I, is Daniel Craig coming back to the 007 role? And should he come back to the role of 007? We'll ask and answer that question coming up later in the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos. Hey, I said it straight.
You kind of abandoned it halfway through that time. You're like, Pop Culture Cosmos?
There you go. I'm here along with my good friend. It's Rob McCallum, director of Nintendo Quest, Missing Mom, and a producer for Tiny Titan Studios. Glad to have him here, filling in for Josh here today.
I love that you've just been able to throw my new kind of role and title like seamlessly into that introduction, like it's been planned for many a day already.
Indeed. Well, I try my best to go ahead and make it as smooth as possible on those promos for other people. So.
Smooth like silk.
Just like for Josh Peterson, don't forget to check out his show, Attack of the Humanicans, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network.
Speaking of Josh, I think I saw a cover for a new book that he's got. What's the deal with that?
It is something I guess he wrote in the past and said he quote unquote forgot about it. And I guess he's going to be releasing it sometime in the near future. I believe it's called The Conjurer's Daughter.
Sounds about right.
And then I know he has Congratulations, You Suck, which is one of the all-time greatest titles in the world. That will be coming out later this year. And I know he's got a lot of stuff on his plate, including all the podcasts that he has out there. So check out his work on Humanica Media on Facebook, and also the various forums and channels that he has, including Podbean, podcast.com, and YouTube as well. So, Rob, I want to ask you, Captain Marvel, that was announced as far as really more details than has been given before in regards to the movie. First off, Carol Danvers, as far as in the movie, is going to be in the 90s, where I guess her origin of Captain Marvel gets created. Your thoughts on that? And then also Samuel L. Jackson returning to the role of Nick Fury, but in the 90s, before he gets into the incident where he loses an eye.
Well, I mean, I think they're really banking on Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, as to be like the Marvel version of Wonder Woman. I think they're going to pivot her to like a huge leading role for the Avengers going forward. The last time we saw like a real kind of period piece was Captain America, First Soldier. That was obviously in the 40s, and that did a lot of character work to set up Steve Rogers. Now, I think flashing back to the 90s when we see Carol Danvers essentially become Captain Marvel is a way to pivot her and her experience to like phase 3 of the Avengers kind of saga, or the MCU.
Phase 4, I think.
Is it phase 4 officially?
I think it's phase 4.
With how that works. So like the next echelon of heroes, Black Panther, maybe Bucky, whoever's part of that next kind of rung down for the Avengers, Ant-Man and Wasp, obviously, possibly Spider-Man.
Ant-Man and Wasp segue in between the Infinity Wars films, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Well,
I know Michelle Pfeiffer was announced as being part of the cast. I know that's something that we talked about on the previous show, but I believe that comes out between both as far as it's concerned. But I do want to ask. It looks like to me that's a great way to segue her in there, although she will not be part of this upcoming Infinity Wars movie. Didn't say Infinity Wars 2, just said the Infinity War movie she will not be a part of, I guess, which is kind of disappointing to me, because I thought it would be kind of nice to see her in a now setting and then understand where she came from in her own movie. But I understand maybe showing too many different pieces at one time with Infinity Wars coming up. So I get that. But one piece that will be involved in the Infinity Wars, and one person who will actually have his movie, and it's not an origin movie, and I'm thankful for that, is Black Panther. So your thoughts on the Black Panther film coming in February? I'm kind of actually relieved that it is not going to be an origin piece, and that it actually shows him after the events of Civil War.
I think here's my gut reaction. It's a good and a bad gut reaction to both Captain Marvel and Black Panther. They're positioning these two characters to have some pretty prominent roles, and these are obviously what I would call films that have leads that are not white male, muscly, burly guys. This is like, let's push maybe something that would be considered a minority to the forefront and make those characters important to maybe reinforce the box office revenue, maybe to reinforce that these characters are important. Now, it kind of sucks that studios have to do that to kind of place important story moments for people to kind of consider these characters valuable, because they aren't the male Thor or Captain America and stuff like that. I think it's great that characters of different diversities and genders get to have that lead role. I just hope that it's not kind of a ploy for the wrong reasons to have to push these characters forward. I think these are great characters that have a really cool history, and I just want to make sure that they're respected and loved for the right reasons, and not for some sort of gender equality statement that must be done in cinema today, or to try to trick audiences. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I understand completely. As long as they're not trying to shoehorn in stuff because they feel they have to, and I don't think in this case that they are. In fact, I think, if at all possible, what they're not showing is that it will help lead, the general audience into what's going to be taking place just a few months after in the Infinity War movie itself, that comes out in May. So I'm hoping that they'll do the right things with the Black Panther movie and not only create that whole environment of Wakanda that's always been such a mystery for the general audience at large, but also as well, shape how important Black Panther's role will be in the upcoming Infinity Wars. If it does that, then it accomplishes its goal for Black Panther, and obviously should alleviate many of those concerns that you do have, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just got to fit well, and I hope it's not, like you said, shoehorned and like willed into place, and that the stories are quality and crafted well, that respect the canons and really open people's eyes to, like, yeah, this can be cool for this character I don't know nothing about, and it isn't like a Hollywood political agenda. That's my concern, especially with the success of Wonder Woman, kind of overshadowing all this. Well, does Marvel need their own kind of Wonder Woman in their version? Which is, you look at Captain Marvel and her powers, it's pretty identical to Wonder Woman. Now, in terms of what's actually happening, what I think might happen with all that stuff, and I kind of like that, we go back to the 90s and we see, Nick Fury without the eye patch, but I think we're going to find out that he's a Skrull and a shapeshifter, and the Nick Fury that we know now in present day isn't Nick Fury.
Wow, that's definitely a great theory indeed. That's definitely a possibility, and I hope you're wrong. But nothing is out of the realm of possibility when it comes to Marvel. In fact, with obviously what we're seeing in the comic book series, the Secret Wars the Secret Empires with Captain America turning to the dark side with Hydra, and seeing how popular, quote unquote, that has been with fans. Definitely, Marvel's willing to push the button on anything, including beloved characters such as Nick Fury as well. So, what are your thoughts out there, everyone, on Captain Marvel and also Black Panther? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and Humanican Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. Coming up right after the break, it's the TV ratings guide with some thoughts for the week on some TV going on, and also some serious talk as far as Jess's take on suicide and suicide prevention, and then also some good TV talk as well. This is a PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show on the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos. And I'm here again. I just want to say thank you again to my good friend, Rob McCallum, for sitting in today. And I know before we go into some 007 talk, I really want to ask you again, thank you so much for allowing Tiny Titan to go ahead and release these codes for the upcoming game. Tiny Rails coming to Steam very soon, August 8th, going into Steam Early Access. And obviously you have another code to give out. So without further ado, my friend, give away.
We really want to do this right now. Now is the time that we're going to...
This is our last segment of the program today, so on today's show. So you tell me before the end, you tell me when it sounds good. So.
Well, I don't know. We're going to talk about James Bond, aren't we?
Yes, well, I'll tell you what. We'll talk a little bit of James Bond first, and then we'll go ahead and release that code. Then we'll just put them in a little bit further suspense, because I know everybody wants to talk about 007 because it was confirmed that James Bond 25 will be coming in November of 2019. I'm sure a comic book movie will not be far behind, but it also has been confirmed as well that Daniel Craig, the man who once said he would slit his wrist before he would come back to the role of James Bond, quote unquote, as 007, is returning to the role of James Bond. As far as I just saw him in the Logan Lucky trailer. I think he's really going to be doing some impressive work there. And maybe now at this point in his career, he'd like to go and do many other things, but he was lured back in for at least one more time for 007. So Rob,
was it just one? I thought it was a 2-film deal.
It was a 2-film deal. So then if it's a two-film deal, then at least another couple films, which, like I said, he really, at the time he had finished the last movie, he really did not want to do. I think that was really genuine on his part. He was kind of burnt out on the 007.
Yeah, I believe the rumor was 2-film deal with producing credits for $75 million each.
Well, that would do it for me.
I know that I wouldn't, hesitate to pick up another Walter PPK if that was the case.
Fair enough. So your thoughts on actually him taking the role up again? And over the past year or so, there's been speculation about many people from Tom Hardy, Tom Hiddleston, Mark Strong, Charlize Theron, like you said, Idris Elba. So many people that great actors and actresses who could admirably fill the role, in my opinion. In case he wanted to leave. So your thoughts on him returning, and is it something you want to see him return to? Are you still interested in Daniel Craig as 007?
Yeah, I think he's a solid Bond. I think when it comes to his movies, it's all about the movies. The movies have to be good. I really still only like Casino Royale out of everything. Skyfall was okay. I mean, I know a lot of people think that's like one of the best Bond films of all time. It's okay. I don't love it more than Casino Royale by a long shot.
I kind of flip on those, but I mean, it's Skyfall was a little bit better for me than Casino Royale, but both are like okay. Quantum of Solace was really off to a bad start, in my opinion.
There's things I like about Quantum of Solace, especially as it gets paid off in the one after Skyfall, which I can't even remember at this point. Remember what that one was? It's the one with Mexico City.
Yeah, exactly. And his friend dies, thrown in a dumpster. Oh, gosh.
And it's the one with Blofeld, too. And
yeah.
Oh, my goodness. We got to look this up real quick online now. James Bond 24. What's this one called? Spectre.
Spectre, that's right.
Spectre. So Spectre was okay. It was better than Quantum of Solace. It made Quantum of Solace better because it tied back into the events of it.
I didn't like the opening of it, so I'll just say that.
Yeah, I didn't like the Mexico City sequence at all. I thought that was pretty weak. And they got a lot of film credits to make that good, too, so that's interesting.
But, Daniel Craig, to me, obviously this sounds like a money grab. And when you have that kind of actor, you're a director. You've obviously directed a lot of takes, including, a sci-fi film that's out there. And I just... as someone who has dealt with actors on a personal basis, when you have an actor that maybe won't have his heart 100% in it, what do you think that will be like for the next 2 films? Because I get the sense that that's going to be the case, and he's just there for those monetary.
Yeah, he's just set dressing. Well, the plots have got to intrigue him. They've really got to challenge him as an actor. It can't just be gunfights and car chases and explosions. Like, what resonated with people about Skyfall was the emotional underpinnings of it. That's kind of what was great about Casino Royale, too. And the problem with where the Bond franchise is now is when they did Casino Royale, they made the decision, okay, we're going to reboot it. We're going to introduce 007 to the world and kind of hit reset, and that's that. Now that we're like 4 films into it and onto a 5th and possibly a 6th with the same Bond, is it still a reintroduction, or are we back on normal James Bond ground? Is it going to go Timothy Dalton style, where it gets more hard edge and gritty and like a little gunmetal gray, and it's more of an action flick like Die Hard but with a spy? Or is it going to go more Roger Moore, get a little kind of goofy in places but still have that grandiose over the top event?
Almost like breaking the fourth wall at times with Roger Moore.
Yeah, Roger Moore is my favorite Bond, always has been. I think he has some of the best plots, even if it's a little silly and tongue-in-cheek. I mean, when you're the third Bond. Technically, you can poke fun at some of the established conventions, but it worked. It helped revitalize the franchise for what he did. So how does the Bond franchise again reinvent itself after 4 films, essentially for a new audience? Because it's been 10 years now or so since Casino Royale. I think 2006 was Casino Royale.
Yeah.
So it's been 10, 11 years. That's another generation. Spider-Man's been rebooted twice within that time. You know, so something's got to happen for Bond. I don't think it's a reboot, but I think they really got to nail these scripts. They got to have an important story to tell. And if they do have 2 pictures left with Daniel Craig, do they do a part 1, part 2?
And it's also the fact that, you know, they don't have, like, we've already dealt with Spectre. We've already dealt with all the familiar names within the Bond franchise for the most part. So
I think they got to kill him. That's what they have to do. They have to kill 007, and instead of rebooting it as James Bond, a new 007 has to take the moniker and the name and the ID.
I think that might work. You know, at this point in time, as far maybe 10 years ago, I would have said no, but at this point in time, I think just, you know, taking up the moniker of 007 and just those 3 digits and the right actor or actress could definitely work.
Here's the no-brainer question that we really should be asking. We need to have a series that's a spin-off. We need like 008, we need 006, or like 003. And that should be like a Netflix kind of serialized series.
Or just MI6.
Yeah, but like in the 00 universe, where Bond is out there, we hear about his exploits, and maybe it happens after Spectre, but it's another 00 agent that has to deal with this Bond identity that's out there while he or she is dealing with her own stuff in the MI6 industry, so to speak, organization.
Well, there you go. Netflix loves to pick up all those ideas, so that could be something to think about right there for you. So that's our thoughts on the 007 franchise and where it's going. What are your thoughts on Daniel Craig returning to the role of James Bond and another James Bond film coming in November? Just share us your thoughts. You're at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and Humanica Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. So we've come to actually the end of the program, and just before we head on out, I think you do have that magical Steam code to give away for, again, Tiny Rails, which is coming out from the great Tiny Titan Studios, coming out August 8th on Steam Early Access.
Yeah, Tiny Rails, August 8th. Here is your Steam key. You can check it right away and get it on the beta fun, the beta build, as we got it going on there as we push towards that retail release. Here it comes. Got the pens and papers ready, I hope. And, you know, congratulations to whoever redeems it first. The first set of numbers and letters are X, as in Xenoblade, Z, as in Zebra, 3, W, as in Will Wheaton, and the number 6. XZ3W6. The second set of numbers and letters are 564, 6B. 564, 6B as in Beta. And the third set of numbers and letters are A as in Assassin's Creed, M as in McCallum, 3, D as in Dash, and L as in This Has Been Lovely. AM3DL. So the whole code again is XZ3W6, 5646B, AM3DL. Good luck.
The only time Assassin's Creed and Will Wheaton will ever be mentioned in a grouping together. So just wanted to throw that out there. But again, our appreciation for everything that you gave us here today, Rob. It's been great having you on the program. One last plug for all the stuff you got coming up. It's the floor's all yours, my friend.
Well, just keep tabs on us. You'll hear my voice as I do some ads and stuff, and maybe we'll have to update those soon. But Power of Grayskull will open up to backers again soon for everybody that missed the first round of funding through Kickstarter. Same with box art, although a little bit later. The Kitty documentary, heavy metal band from Canada that has been worldwide famous and toured with Ozzy and sold millions of albums. That film comes out soon, as we literally signed distribution papers today. That and so much more, and check out all the titles from Tiny Titan Studios, Tiny Rails, Dash Quest, and some very cool stuff in the future.
Awesome indeed. So thank you again, Rob, for joining us. And it's just been a great pleasure having you on the show. And hopefully you'll be able to come on sooner. And hopefully your life won't be, all over tip top and whatnot, going all the sort of different kind of ways and angles. And we'll hopefully have you on the show again, either this one or the Pop Culture Cosmos show.
Can't do it. We'll see. We'll let the fans decide if they want to hear more of me or if they're just content with you and Josh.
Fair enough, indeed.
If you want to hear more of me, write in and let them know and request me. And if the fan mail becomes too irresistible to ignore, then maybe I'll make my return.
That sounds like a good plan, indeed. So for Rob McCallum, this is Gerald Glassford. And once again, we just truly appreciate you being part of the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.